Welcome back, everyone, to Watch More Football. This is the second video of this series. There's four of us. We're here. We're back again. It's myself, Cam. We've got Mick. We've got Ryan, and we've got Dave. And we're back to really discuss the Premier League results over this last weekend and look at what the Premier League teams and the Champions League have been up to, or elsewhere in Europe, as we'll get to as well. If you watched us last week, hope you're back. If not, please check out that one. It's on the Genreverse Sports channel, which is a brand new channel that we've created on Genreverse just for sports. So we've only got a couple of videos up there, but we do hope to have more sports coming on, and we plan to do this pretty much every Monday. Well, I've got you on though. Please check out the Genreverse's other channels, which do cover all entertainment news, reviews, reactions, all that sort of stuff. Some really, really good things on there. And I am also a senior editor at lrmonline.com. So please check that out for all your written entertainment news, interviews, tons of interviews, all that sort of stuff on there. So let's get to it, guys. Welcome back. Kel, I'll just get you to bring up the scores for this week. Although there is one that isn't on there that we're actually going to start talking about, and it's one that was actually playing while we were filming last week's episode. So if you do go back and watch it, you can see us actually react to a couple of goals, or the one or two years that was watching it at the time. Boys, we had a game last week then where Spurs managed to lose somehow 4-1 to Chelsea at Spurs' own ground. Dave, you must have been pretty happy with that.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But I remember filming last week and I was crapping myself. So I barely spoke at all. I was too nervous, but I just catch the end of the game. And
yeah, the point is, though, as well, that to begin with, Spurs start playing well. They score the first goal, but they kind of really just did commit suicide after a bit.
They did the Spurs, yeah. It's... You know, they've done it before. They just fell apart, didn't they? I just remember Battle of the Bridge all those years again. Yeah, they probably will do it again.
I know. Yeah. But why is it always what is it with I mean, you'd say Arsenal's probably their main rivals, so why is it always so dirty when Spurs play Chelsea?
I don't have a clue, to be honest. I still remember, I just mentioned it before, Battle of the Bridge, when Leicester were top of the league and Spurs had to beat Chelsea to stay in it. And they got they just fouled every Chelsea player on the pitch, didn't they? Got away with not getting a red card, and this made me think of that again. But it's a different team, so I don't know. But it made me happy that they got punished for it.
It's a strange one. What did the rest of you think of that game, lads?
Well, me and Mick were watching it while we were recording, obviously the first half, and it was carnage then. Doggy got sent off in the second half, but probably could have got sent off in the first half anyway. You had like a 10-minute VAR check that went from ruling on a sort of really marginal offside from Jackson for Caicedo's goal to, in the same move, Christian Romero taking out Sterling and getting sent off as a result of that.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a definite red card.
It's like that. That's if you look up red card predictions, that's it. He literally just, you can even see it in his eyes that he's like, I am going to take you the fuck out here.
That's just how Romero always looks.
I mean, to be fair, but the thing is, he's like that's the way he was. And then it's like this year he's been dead calm and just like playing really well. And then all of a sudden it's like the old Romero just comes back. I must care.
It was a crazy first half. It was just fouls galore. I think there was about 4 disallowed goals.
Yeah.
It was madness. I've never seen anything like it.
One of the most mad games ever. And the thing is, I don't know if you feel like this, Dave, but I don't think Chelsea played that well.
No, we didn't. No. I think we're probably confused what Spurs' strategy was. And not any of them knew how to work the offside trap. Credit to Spurs keeper, he was playing a great sweeper keeper and catching anything that was coming forward. So
yeah, but it took them too long to just work it. Play a couple of long balls, run at them, and you're bound to catch something. But but even up to them, it's not as if like Chelsea had them under so much pressure that Spurs just buckled. They just committed suicide.
I think as well, it wasn't that it took Chelsea ages to work out the offside trap. They were clearly trying to ping balls over the top and run in, but even though Chelsea have got a lot of really pacey players, they were always getting caught offside. They weren't sort of giving themselves half a yard to make sure they were onside. And it took a few goes for that to come together. But I mean, Spurs still could have got something out of the game.
And probably the worst thing for Spurs is they also picked up quite a few injuries in that game as well. Mickey van de Ven out for probably till several months, they say. I don't think there's a date yet for Maddison, but it's probably several
January,
weeks.
I think.
Is it January for Maddison? Is
Maddison,
it right? Okay, I must have missed
and
that.
Van de Ven's probably going to be longer than that as well.
Even longer than that, right? Sorry, I've maybe get them mixed up then. So, I mean, those two have been like the two most important signings this season, and probably the biggest difference in them going to that next level. And we'll get on to later that they kind of just look like old Spurs again without those guys. But absolutely mad game.
Didn't help them down to 9 men, and they were basically the defenders on the halfway line.
Have you ever seen somebody do that when they go down to 9 men before?
People were praising Spurs for the wanting to attack with 9 men, but everybody knows if you just low block against Chelsea, you've got a good chance of coming away with something. But
because they were absolutely susceptible on the break as well, weren't they? Chelsea, they had chances to score.
Yeah,
I think Spurs. Even if Spurs had low blocks, they were going to lose either way. Like, there's no way Chelsea don't find a way through 9 men, so they may as well just have fun while they're doing it. It just must be grim. You've been playing brilliant, revolutionary attacking football all season, and then all of a sudden you're down to 9 men. It's like, all right, let's all camp out in our box then for half an hour. Who wants to do that? Just go for it, yeah.
Maybe posting Big Ang, we'll just call him, because I'm not going to try and pronounce his name properly with my Scottish accent. But Big Ang, maybe he just thought, everybody's been saying I've brought back the Spurs way, but I haven't really, because we haven't bottled it yet. So I need to bring that into the mix. And, now he's a proper Spurs manager. Let's move on and talk about some of the other results, obviously, that kicked in over the weekend. I guess the first one that we would look at would be Spurs again, because they get beat 2-1 off of Wolves, and I think that kind of leads us on to the point I was on about, that they kind of looked really slack, didn't they, against Wolves?
Yeah, they were goals, just done the big bottle job.
With
the goalie?
They scored in the 3rd minute, didn't they?
Yeah.
They scored in the 3rd minute.
The equaliser in like the 90th minute.
Yeah.
And then
Wolves were a better team
after that to get beat. But that's what I say. I mean, I was watching the game and I was saying to you, Wolves this is all Wolves since Spurs have scored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wolves have been really good this season. Gary O'Neill's done a good job. I think we all sort of had them going down this season, but they're playing well. That first goal from Wolves, though, from Sanabria, that was a fantastic goal. Where
I think we all did think Wolves could go down this year, and they've been nowhere near it, really, have they?
No.
When you look at their unlucky results.
Neto's been brilliant all season, but he's injured now. But that the first goal,
they'll miss him.
Cunha was a sort of it was a weird ball from Cunha, and then Sanabria just sort of plucks it out of the air and volleys it in. It was goal of the season. So
I mean, yeah. I'm thinking about the one we're going to show at the end, but it's not the Premier League, so difference. But yeah, that could be one of the goals of the season, because that was a peach. Yeah, but it was quite funny watching Spurs get beat in the 90th minute when they've been winning for like 85 minutes. It's quite funny.
Well, when was the winner? Was it like the 97th minute or something?
97th,
yeah. It was. And as Ryan said, they never scored an equaliser till after 90 minutes. So.
Sanabria came on at like 87 minutes. He scored the equaliser a minute later and then set up the winner. So that's like man of match performance in about 10 minutes of football.
10 minutes, home, in the bath, man of the match award sitting next to you. Thanks very much, boys. Pick me next week. Arsenal beat Burnley 3-1. Does anybody have anything to say about that? It seemed a pretty straightforward.
Arteta listened to me last week. I said that he should have said that Havertz should have been sent off, and he agreed that Vieira was right to be sent off. So, we're influential already.
Right.
He turned around. He said, "What was it? I'm happy Arteta today, and I'm going to agree that it should have been a red card."
Nothing to do with the fact it didn't affect the result at all.
No, if it affected the result, it would have been different. And of course, we saw this week as well, like some of the managers that were like, fob off it, not bothered about Arteta's comments, who himself wasn't bothered when Klopp went off, but Pochettino wasn't too happy, and he was saying, like, we need to give the referees respect, and then he walks onto the park and starts shouting at people at the end of the game this week. So
that was the other thing as well, going back to the Spurs-Chelsea game, is that after Arteta had a complete meltdown after Newcastle, Postecoglou, primed and ready to blame the refs for his team losing because he's had 2 red cards, just went, "No, I'm never going to complain about refs. It's fine."
Yeah, that was a kind of nice moment from him there. Yeah. And to be fair,
didn't he get a yellow for complaining to the ref?
Anyway, yeah, but I think not about. I don't know what it was. I don't know what specifically happened at the time, but I don't think he was arguing with the red cards. I think he just.
I don't think I think the point is he's never going to try and use the ref to shape a narrative of what his team lost. His team lost because his team.
Yeah,
lost.
we'll see.
That's
see what
happens.
As well. Some of these people start like that in the Premier League. Eddie Howe hasn't really done that either. You know what I mean? But you just kind of think it's going to come at some point when something's in the line and the referee is an absolute nightmare. It will happen.
It's because he's got Jason Tyndall next to him being chippy instead.
Yeah, he does it as well. And I guess he doesn't have to do the interviews after the game. That's what it is. But I think that what we can determine is that if it involves your team and you're emotional, you'll say stupid shit after the game. Simple as that. Palace 2, Everton 3. That's a pretty impressive result for Everton.
Yeah. No, Everton have been playing well. It's what we deserve, I think, at the moment. We're playing well.
It was a man start, so they were.
But it was a decent game.
Yeah, it was 1-1 after 5 minutes. I think Everton should really have won it, to be honest, because they should have had a penalty at 1-1. But as a
Palace should have had a penalty as well.
Yeah, so they equalised through a penalty, but then they should have had another one later on in the half. The Everton defender just sort of dove straight in. He caught his toe, but anywhere else in the pitch, I think it'd be given as a foul.
Well
the ref booked him for a dive, and VAR decided it wasn't a big enough deal. But yeah, Everton are playing really well, and they're starting to get some goals.
But did you see the goal? The second goal that Palace scored was such bad defending. It's coming over to Tarkowski and put head it away. It's right there, and he just goes, "Nope, I'm noping out of that one because Pickford must be magically behind him." But no, the Palace player was behind him and just slotted it in the back of it. That was ridiculous.
That was another one where he sort of controlled it in the air and then volleyed it in, a bit like Sanabria. Not as impressive as Sanabria, but it was a good bit of control from Edouard.
Yeah, but Pickford's never going to catch anything with his arms, is he?
Say that, but he's been playing well this year, Pickford. Yeah. I mean, I would say in past years maybe he didn't deserve necessarily to be England number one, but I think if you look at it now, I think Pickford's playing one of the best of all the English keepers.
Yeah, I still think there's better English goalkeepers.
It's because you're biased, because one of them plays for our team.
I want to say, he is one, but Ramsdale's better than him.
He can't even get a game for Arsenal over David Raya.
He's still better than them. For me, Ramsdale's better keeper than Pickford.
I don't know.
Pickford's never had a bad game for England, though. That's the thing.
No, exactly. He always does well. He does well. Yeah. Let's go on to your mob, Ryan. Massive 1-0 victory to stave off the vultures, relegation. Should you say, against the fellow relegation candidates Luton. Now, I say that with jest because Man United are sitting at a point above us in the table right now, and I want to talk about that in a minute, but carry on.
Yeah. I was pretty encouraged by it, to be honest. There were, similar to the first half in Copenhagen, which obviously we'll talk about later, there was a bit more energy that was lacking. There was some really good attacking play. I joked with Dave before the chat, but United did create a lot of chances. It was just really poor finishing and a couple of good saves from Luton's keeper, who's having a brilliant season. So that was really encouraging. Defensively, it's still a bit sloppy. It's still, not winning second balls, not making anyone open. But it's, I'm not going to start doing an open top bus parade for a 1-0 win over Luton, but it is sort of heading in the right direction. The concerning thing is...
Yet.
No. The concerning thing is Christian Eriksen went off in the first half with a knee injury. He's going to be out for quite a while. It's just come out. Mason Mount came on for him, and he actually put in his best performance in a United shirt so far. So hopefully, he can play that Eriksen role and probably give a bit more energy than Eriksen can. The other thing was Højlund had a couple of chances to finally get a Premier League goal. Got denied by a really good save in the first half and sort of misdirected a header in the second half, but then he went off with a hamstring injury. So both him and Eriksen,
because whenever he scores, you get beat. So
well, but he and Eriksen have both withdrawn from the Denmark squad. I'm hoping Højlund just needs a bit of a rest and he'll be back. It wasn't like a sudden hamstring. He just it felt like he just overstretched it a bit,
like a strain rather than he's torn it or something like that.
So hopefully he should be back after the break. But yeah, it was an encouraging performance, and if a couple more of those goals went in, it would be fine. But
anybody else get any views on that?
We're with Man U all the time, and we're saying that they're shit, but they're actually the informed team at the minute, Man U in the Premier League.
Yeah, I know. It's weird though because they haven't played well at all in any of these.
They played 5
games.
and they've won 4. Do you know what I mean? The top of the form table for the last 5 games, they've only scored 6 and conceded 5.
All of our wins,
Maguire.
All of our wins this season, apart from Palace in the Cup, have been by 1 goal. And I'd even go a little bit further and say that apart from Palace in the Cup, Luton at the weekend was probably the first game since the League Cup final where we've actually deserved to win. Maybe the odd Europa League game last season, but it's been a while. We've been dragging ourselves through games quite a while.
How have you been winning all these games though? Because you still ended up finishing third last year.
Because we've got last season we had Rashford, who was on an absolute mission because he was pissed off that he didn't get enough game time at the World Cup, and Bruno drags us through games a lot of the time as well. So it's
don't forget all the refs that you've bought.
No, apparently I thought the narrative had changed now that it was us that had bought all the refs.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans say it's us that have bought all the refs.
We've been sort of dragged through games by individual quality from very expensive players, but I think the last time we sort of executed a plan and deservedly won was probably the League Cup final against your lot.
We'll get to it, but I think they're in a false position, Man United, unless the form just goes crazy from here, because I just don't think you deserve the amount of points that you've actually registered for a lot of these games. To be honest.
After the break, we've got Everton, we've got Galatasaray, we've got Newcastle, and I think we've got Chelsea, and we can drop points in all 4 of them, to be honest.
If he's played the way he have been playing, he'll get nothing out of any of them.
Well, it depends how we play as well. Think it will, and Everton have been playing okay.
Everton are playing well. They've got
they play with like big teams as well.
But they're not that good. But Galatasaray, I think that'll be a very tough time.
That's going to be an absolute bloodbath, that game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's never been a good place for you guys to go, actually, in my lifetime, if I remember back. Anyway, we'll come back on to kind of Man United when we get to the Champions League side of things, which is a little bit different. But and then no other, as Mick said earlier, no other games happened on the Saturday. So
did Bournemouth not play?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah,
I feel like
what was the score?
Might have played.
I think they played on the 21 side, didn't they?
I don't know.
It's under 12s, wasn't it? That lad in midfield.
But I mean, it wasn't far off it in terms of our team. But yeah, Bournemouth beat Newcastle 2-0. We're in very much in a bit of a dip at the moment. Mick, I mean, as a Newcastle fan, with me saying, what's your thoughts?
We didn't deserve anything from it. Bournemouth deserved the win. We didn't show up. I know we're going to use it as an excuse all we want, but we've got a lot of players out. I mean, looking at the list now, and you're looking at 10 players, and probably 7 of them would start for us who are missing. And then after half an hour, Mickey Almiron goes off injured. So, I mean, we can use it as an excuse all we want, but at the end of the day, the players on that pitch still didn't turn up.
But I think for me, I understand why, because like when you look at the effort they've been putting in and not 100%. Being able to get a rest at all, I could just see it was one game too much. Like after 10, 15 minutes, I think I said to you guys, if we get a 0-0 here, it's a great result because we are just not on it today at all. You could just tell there was no energy in the lads at all. It's a shame, but for us anyway.
We could have done this international break last week.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, we always moan about international breaks, don't we? But at the same time, it gives your players sometimes a bit of rest for a couple of weeks.
Depends if you're on international duty or not, doesn't it?
Well,
yeah, but if you're a big club like Newcastle are now, you can afford to just withdraw them all from international duty.
I wish we had Paul Bruno and Joe Linton and Shea.
Yeah, they'll go because they've got important games. That's the thing that annoys me. Like the English games are like not important in terms of who you're playing and what your situation is. I can kind of get it for Brazil because they've got to play. I think was it Colombia and Argentina.
Yeah, so, but they're in a 10-team group from which like 6 or 7 qualify automatically. They
yeah, but
they're going through
local pride. That's like if England were playing Scotland, they're not going to just pick the kids, are they, or something like that. You just don't do it. And it's your local rival.
I think we did the last time.
Much to people. Shut the I'm not getting into that. That's why I don't like international football. Anyway, where was it? Yeah, Bournemouth, Newcastle. I kind of agree. I just think we're in a really bad state at the moment because of the injuries. And unless some of them start to come back soon, I do think we're going to slip down a few things because I think just too many games.
After the national break, we're looking at getting probably 3 back. I'm thinking Isak will be back. Bruno's coming back from suspension.
Bruno will be back, but
Barnes isn't far off.
Well, rumoured. That's a rumour. There's a rumour going about that Barnes could be back mid to end in November, maybe start of December, something like that. But
if he's
the official link still says January, so I don't know. And Botman's still a mystery. I've heard people say like December, and other people saying don't know because he went to a specialist and nobody's heard anything since he come back for the specialist. And,
obviously,
so I don't know, but it's a rough time for our heroes.
It's very rough, yeah.
So we'll get on to the Champions League in a minute, but all you can do is take each game as it comes and shoot it the way it is. Villa beat Fulham 3-1. Right, straightforward game as far as I could see, no surprises.
Classic Villa stuff.
Fulham are doing too well at the moment. Brighton won Sheffield Wednesday. Does the Brighton blip continue? They're doing well in Europe, but did I say that?
When did they get promoted?
Yeah, I mean, they get smashed, did they not, at the weekend, actually? But, sorry, I did mean Sheffield United. Sorry, Blades fans. All 5E. That's 5 votes on this video.
Yeah. Adingra's goal for Brighton was really good.
Sorry, say that again, Ryan.
Adingra's goal for Brighton was really good. Just sort of gets the ball out wide and just sort of runs through the entire team, does a nice little 1-2 on the edge of the box and puts it away. Really good.
But do you think they are suffering from playing in Europe?
Yeah, and their injuries.
Yeah, and
they got a lot of injuries as well. I genuinely didn't know that.
Key injuries. Yeah.
But you say that, but they've also got like 40 South American regens that they can just bring in. So
I don't think they're actually at the club. I think they've got these people at surrounding clubs learning their trade at the moment, don't they? That's the way they want to buy these young kids.
Obviously they're struggling as well because they lost their midfield core in Caicedo and McAllister, and the players who came in for them last season were good in flashes, but that's not necessarily enough to carry a team. Like
may not be able to be as consistent for a full season as they were before, but still good players, still a good team. They can beat anybody in the day, like when they smashed us.
Sheffield United, they've got a lengthy injury list as well. They're missing 8 players.
They're starting to show a little bit of fight as well. A couple of weeks ago, I was thinking they were going to sort of beat Derby's record, but they're getting there. They're putting it together a little bit.
They're missing
still only on like 5 points.
Fashion, Brewster, Egan, McBurney, they all probably would start.
Yeah,
and they're still.
You'd still fancy, especially with Bournemouth playing a wee bit better at the weekend, you would still probably kind of think that those promoted teams are the three
Yeah.
that are still you're most likely to go straight back down again. Though you never know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I can't
But
see
you
anything
know,
of
they're
that.
putting up a bit more fight than they were doing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
definitely.
Liverpool smashed Brentford 3-0. Pretty straightforward.
It was straightforward.
Not
I thought Brentford were decent in the first half, but then just sort of as soon as Liverpool scored their first, it just sort of happened.
Brentford never have very rarely anyway have a bad game, but sometimes they are limited as to what they can do.
The second and third goals for Liverpool were sort of ones that you can't really legislate for, where just sort of Salah found himself free in the back post and the ball landed on his head and in, and then sort of a nice little curl shot from 20 yards out from Jota. So,
any other thoughts on that one, or move on?
No.
Nah. Fuck Liverpool.
Nah. Exactly.
Just annoyed, just not annoying all the Scousers now. That's not what I'll annoy everybody by the end of a few of these episodes. I'm biased. I don't care. Don't like any. Or Chelsea, or my eighth. I don't like you either. But West Ham 3, Forest 2. That was actually a not bad game, wasn't it? That was a decent game. I think
it was a decent game, yeah.
West Ham.
I started watching the Liverpool match. Once Liverpool went 2-0 up, I turned over and put the West Ham match on. I'm glad I did because it was a decent watch.
Yeah, I think I was the same. We kind of all turned it on at that point and enjoyed the end of that game. So.
Yeah, it could have gone either way. But so Jared Bowen scored again, so he's scored in 7 straight home matches for West Ham now, which is
I was just about to say that.
Pretty
Ward
ridiculous.
Prowse with a couple of assists.
Yeah.
How much do you think he's worth, Jared Bowen? Because there is talk about him maybe being attractive to slightly bigger teams, and West Ham would sell if they get the right price. But how much do you think it would take to get Jared Bowen?
I think he'd 100% get into United's team, and it would be at least 70.
I think he'd get in Newcastle's team as well.
At least 70, 80 million if West Ham were going to sell him.
Yeah, it's going to be
70, 80 million.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
That's a lot of money.
He's going to be, 25, 26? I don't know.
Too old for us then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. In all honesty, the way you do your
recruitment. On that, I sort of was looking up today. Raheem Sterling is still only 28. Like, I was listening to a podcast earlier on, asking whether his England career is over and all that, and I was thinking he was going to be 31 or something, but no, he's only 28.
Yeah.
Jared Bowen's 26.
It's just he was playing like he was 31 the last couple of years since he joined Chelsea. That's all. But he's kind of getting back to something towards his best at the moment. So, and I guess that gets us on to probably one of the not necessarily a crazier game than Chelsea versus Spurs, but maybe a better game than Chelsea versus Spurs, which was Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4. What a game, lads. This is one of those ones that everybody was talking about afterwards and just saying, whether you're a neutral or you're a supporter for each, that was fun to watch that.
Yeah.
It was good to see. Go on.
I was just going to say that this is Pep Guardiola. He's managed 882 games. It's his first ever 4-4.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to know those numbers for other managers, though. I don't think there's going to be many.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be very many.
I was going to say it's nice to see a team sort of go at City and try and match them and actually rattling them a bit, rather than just sort of pat the box and try and nick a cheeky goal. Chelsea went for it from kickoff.
Yeah, that's what we do, though, isn't it? Like, you saw it against Liverpool, you saw it against Arsenal. Like, it's how Chelsea want to play.
You're kind of becoming big team killers at the moment, which is strange because you can't.
We're the Robin Hood of the Premier League,
aren't we? Yeah, you take points from the rich and you give them to the poor at the moment. Yeah. Absolutely, which is obviously Chelsea are as big a team as anybody bar maybe a couple in the Premier League, and they're not expected to be where they are. But do you think is this them turning a corner though? If they woke up, Dave?
No, I don't.
No.
The next low block team we come up against will struggle, I reckon. But we should have Nkunku back. in the next
I
game.
heard T-Wood might be back for the EFL Cup game against us. Yeah. Which should be annoying.
We'll just put him back out again.
Just put him back out again. Just put Joe on.
Please don't. It's
well,
something
that's their reputation now. So,
yeah, I mean, we've been missing some of these clinical. Jackson's all right at what he does, but he hasn't been clinical enough, and that's where hopefully Nkunku will come in. But where he'll play, I don't know. Whether we'll stick him up top, where he's not really used to, or whether we'll sit him behind.
I think you'll have the two of them playing together.
I think so. It could be Palmer, Sterling.
I was going to say, is Nkunku going to get in the team over Palmer? Because Palmer's been amazing.
I mean,
it depends how he set up in centre mid. I don't know. I actually don't know.
It's a nice problem to have for Chelsea anyway.
It is. Yeah.
When do we fit Nkunku back in? So.
I thought it was funny during that game when Palmer went over to the Man City little huddle and tried to get in. Yeah. Haaland came over and pushed him out of the way. That was quite funny.
There was one. I don't know. I wouldn't say there was any kind of controversial incidents really in the game, but there was one you wanted to bring up, Mick, which was what were you going to say? Sorry, Dave.
I think you're about to bring it up anyway.
The penalty. Yeah. But I mean, Man City's penalty. Let's just before we bring up the kind of we don't have the full video of it, but we have an image that we wanted to discuss in terms of consistency. But does anybody actually think that's a solid penalty, Cucurella on Haaland there? Does anybody see that's a definite pen?
Haaland had hold of Cucurella's shirt first, pulled him out of position, and then Cucurella pulled himself forward. So
that's my interpretation of it. Cucurella kind of went, well, if you're going to do it to me, I'm going to do it back to you. And then the referee went, penalty.
It's a one half a dozen the other, wasn't it?
It's not even considering what happened before it either.
Really, Haaland threw himself down. The size of him, you can't just sort of tackle him.
Yeah, there's no way Cucurella dragged him to the ground like that.
Yeah. And it's unfair that Haaland can start it and then sort of just decide, I'm going to get a penalty off this. It doesn't seem.
I felt like that as well. Balanced. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not as if he was ripping his shirt off his back like Almiron was. Getting his.
I mean, and that's the point we're going to look at. Kel, if you could bring up the first image I sent you, which is the Haaland one, guys, because I know you can't see it on the screen at the moment. So you can see Haaland and Cucurella and obviously grabbing each other's shirts, but I think it's Haaland. I think the picture was showing us that it's Cucurella pulling it, and then with the next image, if you want to,
green jersey or the blue stuff.
The blue one, the one with the blue.
Because you're talking about people grabbing stuff, and the one in green looks like a lot more grabbing than the one in blue. But I got blue up. You're good.
Well, I'm glad that you have that opinion, Phil, because that proves the point. But yeah, so if you've got that one up, and then switch it to the green one now, which was in the Newcastle game, and
that was the first half an hour of the game.
Yeah, that was Miguel Almiron's shirt getting pulled as well.
That would change the whole game, that would have.
Yeah, I actually don't think we would have still won that game, but we might have managed to get a point at it. But but the point is, it's not kind of us moaning about refereeing decisions. I think what the point you wanted to make, Mick, is consistency, and that's again what we see all the time. You get a decision that goes one way, and then the same game in the same weekend of fixtures, the exact same thing will happen, and they just get a completely different result over it. And it's hard to fathom why. Surely there's a consensus. They sit and look at these things and go, this is a penalty, this isn't.
Yeah, I don't even think VAR even looked at the Almiron incident, like him getting his. It was almost like he was getting his shirt taken off his back to give to one of the fans in the stands.
Yeah, it looked actually. I never thought it looked that bad in real time, though. I have to say, which I can kind of get why the referee doesn't give anything. But it's when you're looking at VAR, you think, okay, and that's for me. But was it a clear and obvious error? Well, it depends.
Well,
because
if the
Haaland one is.
If the referee
doesn't
say it,
give it for Haaland, or was it VAR that gave it for Haaland?
No, the ref gave it for Haaland. Yeah.
The referee gave it. See, maybe that's
Anthony
just the
Taylor.
difference. It's the referee, and then VAR just refused to overrule anything, so they just go with the referee decision unless it's an absolute howler. Yeah. But then we're kind of still at the point where referees are making shit calls and penalties, then, aren't we?
Yeah. Wolves, 2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there was a few.
But it's like the VAR shit scared to overturn the referee on the field because of the backlash that'll be received.
But yet, they seem to be getting more backlash for not doing it at the moment. It seems to be the ones that VAR don't get involved. Everybody's like, why is VAR not getting involved in this? You know, so
I think at this
why
point,
not even let the ref go and look at an image and say, you know, just go and have a look for yourself. We're not sure about this, so you have a better look and decide for yourself.
I think at this point, the only thing that's going to really save VAR is sort of taking the checks out of VAR's hands almost. So at the moment, VAR are checking everything. I think it needs to be managers have got one challenger half each. Referee, if he's not sure on something, he can send something upstairs himself. Mic up the whole process, and I think you'd probably iron out a few things.
I mean, the referee should absolutely be able to do it. I'm not sure if I like the manager challenges. That sounds a bit Americanized to me.
I think, well, it works. It works in cricket really well, and limiting the challenges means that you don't have
a snail's pace. You can go for tea while they make a decision. Let's have tea.
I think if you limit it to 1.5, it stops managers taking the piss, because they'll absolutely take the piss with it if you give them too many. Obviously, it wouldn't change anything in the Chelsea Spurs game, because there was about half a dozen big incidents in that game.
And I guess if they only had one, it's just I think
I just think at the moment a lot of the dissatisfaction is VAR are looking at everything and then turning things over for things that weren't really noticed in real time, and it's nobody really wants to see that. So if a manager's absolutely adamant they should have had a penalty or the other team should have had a sending off, let them send something upstairs, and if they're that sure about it, they can put the money where the mouth is.
Yeah,
I kind of agree, and I agree that the refs need to be mic'd up where we're going to hear it, like in the rugby and stuff like that.
And equally, I think we need to have sort of a mandate for every ground in the Premier League at least to have a screen in the stadium, because Old Trafford doesn't have one. Craven Cottage doesn't have one, so the United goal that got disallowed against Fulham, nobody knew what was happening. Although even then, I've heard reports that people at the Chelsea Spurs match last week had no idea what was going on.
Somebody like Luton coming in, though, and getting into the Premier League all of a sudden unexpectedly, and they can't afford to just go and put a giant TV in their ground for one season.
That expensive for the amount of money they get for coming up, it can't be that expensive.
I don't know. Won't you look up giant stadium-sized TVs and how much they cost?
The CFA provide it.
I mean, it would be in the tens of thousands compared to like the £100 million that they get to go up.
I mean,
go down PC World, get a 72-inch OLED, have done with it.
I mean, one thing that was highlighted, some of the grounds could absolutely have more cameras in them for better angles and stuff like that for offsides
I think that's more difficult to sort, especially with places like Luton.
I guess.
I mean, Dave's the cameraman here. How easy is it to just stick a camera anywhere, Dave?
It's not easy, but was it not a system for offsides during the World Cup? I can't remember.
Yeah. Like a sort of Hawkeye system, but then that only sort of decides whether he's in an offside position or not. And I think a lot of the issues have been, fine, we can tell he's offside now, but what's he doing with the play? And I think that's where a lot of the, a lot of the other controversy comes in. You can't really automate that. That's still down to
maybe they'll just never get it bang on. Let's bring up the Premier League table. Thanks, Kyle. If you could put that up on the screen, and let's look at where everybody is, guys, and let's just have a think, predictions and stuff like that. Some of these sounds went a bit weird on here for me. But where do we think, looking at the table after this week, any major changes to what we thought last week?
Not really. Tottenham are slipping closer out of the top 4.
Yeah. I mean, like you guys say, United are probably higher than where they deserve to be at the minute.
We've got a minus 3 goal difference here as well.
It's because we're winning games by 1 goal, and then when we lose really badly.
But then, if Man United could suddenly get a bit of form,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, and like I said, a 1-0 win over Luton wasn't brilliant, but sort of the underlying play behind it, there was starting to see a bit more. And with sort of, if Mount takes a bit more of a lead in the midfield, ahead of Eriksen, if we get like Luke Shaw back, that can change.
Any other major sort of changes that you see? Do you think Spurs will fall down? Could Chelsea rise back up the table?
With Tottenham's few injuries, then they're going to lose Son.
They've got some difficult fixtures as well, haven't they? I think.
Yeah, they've got some really hard fixtures. I can see them dropping out.
They've got Villa, Liverpool, and City. Oh no, they've got Villa and City.
Villa.
But they seem the most likely, don't they? They don't have that. They're out in the AFL Cup. They're playing Europa Conference League, which is meh. You know what I mean? So they kind of just have that one game a week, really. You know what I mean? They can play the kids in the Europa Conference. They've not been actually, but they could.
Yeah, I think Villa will jump in ahead of Tottenham. I'm not too worried about us. I'd take top 6.
Yeah, I would.
I would take top 6, and because you would, your mid-table team.
At least they're not in the relegation fight anymore, really, Dave.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Well, for now. Yeah.
I guess
10 points.
Change.
No, but
there's quite a big mid-table. I think in other seasons, Palace and Fulham might be in a bit of trouble. They're just not really.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
much about them.
Forming.
But yeah, I think this season the bottom 3 are just so much worse than everyone else.
I think the bottom 3 will be the bottom 3 at the end of the season.
Yeah. Are Everton going to get the points deduction this season? I don't know, but I still think they might.
I think
they'd be all right even if they got the points deduction this
season. They're already 8 points ahead. They can get another.
That would be the most Everton thing ever. Like, they've flirted with relegation for so many years and survived with the skin on their teeth. Imagine the year that they get deducted 12 points, they still manage to survive. That's just so Everton.
The thing is, if they did, they would go down to 2 points. That will put Luton into 17th on 6 points. So they're only 4 safety. So they'll be fine, even if they do get the points.
Yeah. All right, then. So quickly, just quick run through the Champions League before we wrap up this week, lads. We had 4 games on this week. City won, and they are through. They've qualified. So there's nothing really much to say about them. They can just chill out and wait for the next round now. Arsenal beat Sevilla 2-0. Probably, although not officially, probably have basically qualified as well.
Up their group.
Hey, excuse me, guys. Sorry to cut in here.
Right, guys. So we were going to talk about the Newcastle game. We obviously get beat 2-0. I don't think there's really too much to say about it. Newcastle didn't play too badly, but I think it was just one of those games again. Too many injuries, lost quite a few players in that game as well, and Dortmund just seem to have found their number. But I don't really. Mick, do you think we'll get out of that group? Do you care at this point?
It's a close group still when you think about it. We're bottom on 4. Then you've got Milan on 5, PSG on 6, Dortmund on 7. But I fancy us at home against Milan.
Depends who we get back.
A few players back. I fancy us to beat them. Even if
would you want Europa League, or would you rather just finish 4th and go?
To be honest, it's been great being back in the Champions League. It's been fantastic, especially the group that we've had. We've had 3 massive teams, 6 huge games. I'd be happy to go into the Europa League. I think we'll go further in the Europa League than we would the Champions League.
Probably true, but again, I don't know about whether Thursday, Sunday is a good idea going forward. But anyway, I think the biggest kind of talking point though from the Champions League games is that we had another, well, as I said, maybe a kamikaze performance from from Man United, Ryan. What the hell happened against FC Copenhagen with you guys?
It started really well. Højlund scored after a couple of minutes, and then he scored again. The first 20 minutes, it was sort of all United,
you were
all playing the way that they should. Yeah, and I was saying in the group chat, it's the best that we played all season, which is admittedly not a high bar. And then the Rashford red card, which is a red card. It's unintentional, but it's a red card. That sort of changed things a little bit. It's still frustrating.
Even then, I thought you were the better team.
United should have won the game, and at the very least, from Rashford getting sent off, it didn't even take 2 minutes for Copenhagen to pull a goal back, and you have to stay solid for longer than that. So at 42 minutes, we're 2-0 up and cruising. Rashford gets sent off, and then at half time, it's 2-2. And then the start of the second half, Copenhagen sort of sat back a bit. United kept the ball for a long time. And then just sort of, they didn't really drive that home. Got a bit sloppy. Copenhagen got back into the game, but even then, United got a soft penalty to go 3-2 up. And from there, again, you should be able to sort of see it out. And the problems were, they were individual defensive mistakes, but it was still the same basics in that, Amrabat was brought in the midfield to bring a bit more stability, but he kept getting exposed because people were passing to him, but he had no one else to sort of feed the ball to, so he was just getting swarmed by Copenhagen defenders. And
still, both goals were bad defensive mistakes.
Yeah, bad defensive, and not having Rashford on the pitch doesn't fix either of those, to be honest, because he doesn't track back anyway. You should still be able to compete, keep a compact backline for that. Dalot for the third goal, really poor. And then the fourth goal comes because Raphael Varane was on for Johnny Evans, and the reason he's not starting games at the minute is because he's no good with the ball at his feet. He had a pass pinged to him in the 6-yard box and just completely panicked, and Copenhagen camped out in the United box until they scored from there. So I think maybe if, like we said last week, United are a confidence team, and if it's going well, it's fine. But the minute there's a setback, it all starts to really collapse a little bit. So I think maybe if Rashford hadn't been,
they're not that strong.
Yeah, if Rashford hadn't been sent off, it could have been a 3 or 4-0 win, and it would be fine. As it is, United are bottom of the group. No, I think we'll stay bottom of the group. I don't think we'll get anything out of Galatasaray. The only hope is that with the last group games against Bayern Munich, they're already guaranteed top. They might phone it in for that game, but even then, I think a phoning it in Bayern team is still probably going to comfortably beat United. So I think we'll stay bottom of the group, and that's probably for the best, to be honest.
Fair enough. Anything else to say, guys, this week?
Do you think that Copenhagen's first goal should have been disallowed?
No.
No?
No. I mean, I know there was a hint of an offside, but a bit like Big Ange, I'd rather United just defended it properly, to be honest, and not given the opportunity 2 minutes after a red card.
I think it would have been harsh to disallow it for that.
I would say Copenhagen's equaliser in the first half came from a penalty, which was ridiculously soft, but then United got an equally soft penalty to go 3-2 up. So that, I don't agree with either.
Even consistent.
Yeah, I don't agree with either of those penalties being given, but at least they were both given. Yeah.
But yeah, they're no better than the Premier League refs. I mean, we've seen quite a few things in the Champions League that are just mind-boggling, to be honest.
Yeah, they're harsher than the Premier League refs in a lot of ways, especially on handballs.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay then, so it's international break next week, so we won't be discussing, I don't think, results, because no one cares about international football anymore these days. But we may be back for at least to have some other discussions next week anyway. But we will be back. So thanks for watching us this week, and please come back and watch more football. Next time we're on, please like and subscribe if you can as well, because obviously it helps us out, because we're just starting off for the first time as well. It'd be absolutely magic. Thanks guys, and we'll see you next week on Watch More Football.